Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. First of all, I hope you all had an amazing Thanksgiving and that you were surrounded by friends and family doing what you like to do. Number 2, I'm here to talk about the new movie, Devotion. The synopsis is as follows. Devotion is the inspirational true story of Jesse Brown, the first black aviator in U.S. Navy history, and his enduring friendship with fellow fighter pilot Tom Hudner. Helping to turn the tide in the most brutal battle in the Korean War, their heroic sacrifices ultimately make them the Navy's most celebrated wingmen. So without further ado, let's get into the 6 things that make a movie great. 1. The plot. The plot of this movie follows Jesse Brown and his experience being in the Navy, along with the introduction of his friendship with Tom Hudner, a fellow naval pilot. Alongside Hudner, Brown and the rest of his wingmen are trained to go on a mission that takes place during the Korean War, and they find that through family and friendship, they're not afraid to pay the ultimate price. First and foremost, I did some research, and it seems like they stayed pretty close to the true story that actually happened, taking 2 notable liberties that added some relationship dynamics in the film. And though the plot of this movie is pretty simple, it has a nice balance of the civilian life and the soldier life of Jesse Brown while following his journey in the Navy. I did feel like this movie had some pacing issues, but in the end I found myself enjoying this story, so plot for me gets a thumbs up. 2 is family friendliness. Devotion is rated PG-13, and it comes with a moderate amount of profanity, some action and war violence, and some pretty uncomfortable moments involving discrimination, discriminatory comments, and racial slurs. That is the time period that this movie takes place in, and while it's not the main focus of the movie, it does occur quite a bit throughout the film. So because of all that, I have to give family friendliness a 50-50. 3 is acting and script. All the performances in this movie were pretty good, but most notably were Jonathan Majors, Glenn Powell, and Christina Jackson. They're the characters who get the most screen time, and their acting performances were great. The scenes that involved interaction between Tom and Jesse were very well done, as were the interactions between Jesse and his wife Daisy. I enjoyed many different parts about the script, including the character dialogue, but there was something pretty major I have to point out. I'd say probably in the first third of the movie, there's a lot of really fast-paced dialogue, and not only do you miss some of it because of how fast-paced it is, but you lose a lot of Jonathan Majors' lines because he mumbles. And I don't know if that's in the audio recording, or if that's in the mixing, or if it's just Jonathan Majors, but there were a lot of lines in the first third of the movie that just fell through and you couldn't understand what they were saying, and it was a shame because the script of this movie is pretty good, so I wanted to hear what was going on. But the parts I could hear were very well done, so for me, acting and script get a 50-50. 4 is character development. Some of the supporting casts get mild character development, but really they just fall into the categories of they're either nice and accepting or they're unkind and racist. The real character development that you get is between Tom Hudner and Jesse Brown and their friendship as they prepare for this mission and become wingmen in the Navy. Watching their friendship grow and flourish and go through trials is one of the best parts about this movie. It was a really nice dynamic to watch, and I think they did a really good job focusing on that, and it made me want more of them on screen together. I also really liked the character interaction between Jesse and Daisy and their family together. Their character development gave you a really good idea of Jesse's sense of family and what he was fighting for, in addition to his love for flying and how he felt called to do it. Jesse Brown is the most developed character in this movie, and following his story was this movie's purpose, so I think they did a good job. So for me, character development gets a thumbs up. 5 is visuals and CGI. Most of the visuals in this movie are good, but some of the CGI is pretty awful. There's some moments when the CGI looks decent, and then you get into some of the flying and you realize that this is not Top Gun Maverick. I'm not sure what this movie's budget was, but it was pretty clear to see some of the planes CGI, and it stuck out like a sore thumb. Some of the wartime visuals felt really intense, so I think they did a good job with that. So for me, visuals and CGI get a 50-50. And 6 is rewatchability. This movie is 2 hours and 19 minutes long, and it definitely feels that long. War movies like this that follow the story of 1 or 2 particular characters tend to be slower films, and I think that the issue that those films face is either change some of the source content to try to make the story more interesting, or keep it the same and have a movie that seems long and slow. So I understand that struggle, and I like that this movie chose to not make changes to the source material, keep the story as true as possible, but you're still left in this gray middle area when it comes to rewatchability. I enjoy movies like this. The story was really well done. And when I got to the end of the film, I enjoyed what I watched and that it was a good story. That being said, I don't think I would watch this movie again. But that doesn't mean it's not rewatchable. So for me, rewatchability gets a 50-50. With all these areas considered, I have to give Devotion a 7 out of 10. This movie was really slow and it had uncomfortable racial undertones that were accurate to the time. But it had great acting performances, it stayed true to the source material for the most part, and it told a great heart-wrenching story that hasn't been told before. So if you enjoy slow war films that tell a good story, you might enjoy going to see Devotion in theaters. Thank you so much for watching. If you've seen Devotion, please let me know what you think about it in the comments below. As always, I appreciate your love and support, and I'll catch you guys and gals in the next one.